What's going on, y'all? Just wanted to do a little quick update in the beginning of the episode because we talked a little bit about the storm, Hurricane Ian. Luckily, everything was good on my end. We lost power for a few days, so that was the only thing that we had to worry about, and we were blessed in that sense because there's like 100,000 people in my county alone that still don't have power, and a whole bunch of things going on. So definitely make sure you guys are tapped into what's going on with the hurricane relief and efforts and stuff. And if you can help out, do that. If you can't, make sure you send in positive vibes because it was crazy out here. And let's get on with the show.
So Les, how that hurricane looking out there?
Man, right now, what time is it? 5:47 p.m. on Wednesday. It's like windy. I looked out at the garden and it's pretty windy. It's nothing too crazy right now. Where I'm at, it's not supposed to be too bad. So hopefully it stays like that and it's just kind of heavy rain and a little wind.
What kind of prep did you do for that? Because I know you got the whole garden, you got all the veggies, you got all the pots and pans out there.
Yeah, man. The best I could have done, which is what I did, was I just brought whatever was in a pot inside. Everything else that's in the ground, obviously, is just hoping that the roots have taken hold.
Yeah,
but theoretically, should a hurricane knock that kind of stuff out?
I mean, I have a few plants in there that just judging by how well they're like the roots, like how deep the roots are and stuff, like if the wind is crazy, I could lose a couple. Nothing crazy though, just a couple.
All right,
it's not likely.
And that kind of goes into what we wanted to talk about how people err on the side of caution or not, like when it comes to hurricanes, especially Floridians, I think.
Yeah, it's a big. I mean, as y'all know, it's a wide range, like on either ends of the spectrum. You got some people that go crazy, they prepare for the worst, which makes sense. And you got other people, that they just don't even prepare and they're just like, yo, I'm trying to chill. They see it like as a day off. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think kind of moving to Orlando at a early age and experiencing like Charlie and other storms that have been pretty serious, you got to always have some kind of concern. I mean, whether you want to go and clear the shelves, that's a whole nother conversation, you know what I'm saying?
Or like evacuate.
I
think that's the big one. Evacuate. I think that's the most extreme thing. Anybody and we're all from the same spot. So picture anybody from Dean Road evacuating. Does that make sense to any of y'all?
No.
I don't think so. I mean, I wouldn't, but at the same time, I understand those people that, because you see it, like some houses crumble, you know what I'm saying? And then they're left to kind of pick up the pieces or whatever. So it's like, I understand it. I mean, probably not, I'll probably just prepare for it. But, I can't really judge nobody that's like, I'm not trying to even deal with that.
Hey, you know what? How I kind of thought about it is, how people cannot watch scary movies for the life of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like they hate scary movies. So maybe there's people who just couldn't just sit there and tolerate a hurricane for 2.5 days. Like they just they couldn't handle sitting through that. And once you get to the age.
No, I was just gonna say some people never experienced it too. I think as Floridians, we get so used to it and so numb to it, just like a lot of stuff that we shouldn't be used to and numb to, you know what I mean? Like seeing death and, you know what I mean? Like the things that we are numb to nowadays, like when it comes to storms and stuff like that in Florida, we're used to it. So, it's a little different,
And there are extremists in that sense, because I'm sure y'all know about that Doomsday Prepper show.
No.
Where people build bunkers and fill them up for the day doomsday is coming. They've been doing it for like the last 50 years.
Yep.
So there are people who 100% feel like, no, this is it. This is going to end all, and we got to get the hell out of here. It's just, it's crazy to see now outside looking in, because I'm in Vegas, and I don't have to deal with anything that Orlando's going through, except that my office is closed, so I have to still work since I'm not there. But I just see the multiple reactions, how people react, and it's just I've never seen it that way, and it's just so extreme on both sides, like Lester was saying. And I don't. Do you think social media plays influence today? How much people worry?
For sure, but not only how much people worry, but also how much people try to show that they're not worried. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you're not worried, just be not worried. It's not necessary to be like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is nothing. I'm ready. You know, like it's not. You don't have to announce that. But I mean, again, that's a part of social media that we tap into all the time, where people try to carry a persona. You know what I mean?
And that can affect your life. That can make you not worry about it till it's something serious and your windows are shaking. It's like, damn, why'd I listen to @motherfucker on Instagram to tell me not to worry?
What you think, Les?
Yeah, I mean, I think the social media stuff definitely plays a part, and even the way things are reported. And I mean, back to the nuance thing, like when you look at a report and the headline says, catastrophic, whatever, like whatever it says, like you got to look at the area too, because like it's doing a certain kind of damage in certain spots, but where you're at, it might not be doing that damage. So if you're not really reading, if you're not getting in depth with what information they're giving you, and you're just going off of what headline is grabbing you, you might think that something crazy is going to happen. But if you're actually, following the data and using your mind to decipher how things are going. Yeah, I keep up with it. Like the little tracker they got where it's like hourly, and as you move the tracker, it moves the thing, and it shows you like the color coded.
So you do
like,
keep up with it, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like I look at that, and then I say, okay, I mean, in my area is gonna be like this at when it comes here, so it looks like we're gonna be pretty straight. You know what I mean? Like, and like I said, if you see a headline that says, catastrophic damage or whatever, and you're so wrapped up in your own stuff that you don't even think to say like, yo, this is a general headline, like I gotta check what it's like in my area. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. You just feel whatever kind of source gets to you without filtering it at all.
Exactly. Not considering that, especially when it comes to weather, it's something that's very localized. Like you have to check in your area, you know what I mean? But that just feeds into the hysteria that people kind of overlook those little details because they're so caught up in, oh man, this is crazy. Or they're caught up in the other way of like, I don't care,
Yeah. Like the three biggest things I see going around is all the water bottles are gone. So the same meme goes around. Y'all ain't drink water in 3 years. Why y'all taking all the water bottles? Take the Dasani. No shots to Dasani, but Dasani's trash. But that one and the toilet paper is all gone. They're like, who's gonna shit that much during the outage? And all the gas that's gone. And it's like, does that, and like even we know some people in our chats who bought generators and they're keeping them in the box just because, like not even sure they're even gonna use it, but everybody else is getting one, so I might as well hold one. If I don't use it, I'm gonna return it. So that means you're not really, that's not really a risk to you. You just feel like, all right, everybody got one, might as well get one, kind of thing. To me, I feel like I know a lot of people who are doing that because of what they see like on social media, kind of thing.
But I think it all feeds into it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like it's a continuous cycle. Like you see every storm, it gets worse and worse. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like you saw what happened at the last storm. So this time I gotta be the one to get everything because everybody's always the one to get, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like every time a storm comes around, it gets worse and worse. And I don't know if the social media, the news, or however we can break it down is influencing that. I can tell you that in 2003, 2004, we weren't going crazy like trying to clear shelves, like, you know what I'm saying? Like we'll get a couple cases of water, you know what I'm saying? We'll go get charcoal in case we need to grill, but we wouldn't go all out. And you see people with, 3 carts full of water cases, it's like,
I remember that hurricane humbled me. Like I remember in 2004 we didn't have power for a long time, and that's when it was hot. And I remember just laying like on the tile with butt naked with a fan on me.
Facts.
Just like, oh my goodness, I will never take air conditioning for granted again.
Facts.
And that's why, like, I think about that hitting pretty much the same area where I've always lived, and you see all those like electric trucks traveling down there because it's inevitable at this point, bro. Everything just goes out. Too much shit being power. Anyway.
Yeah, man. Crazy thing about hurricanes is it always makes me think about how like anywhere you live or anywhere we're at, like it's gonna have its pros and cons, and every place has the cons. You know what I mean? Like same thing with like if you live on the West Coast, like the weather's great, but then you got earthquakes. You know what I mean?
And those aren't as predictable as hurricanes are. They don't got paths for earthquakes.
Exactly. And it's like everywhere you live, there's always a threat of something, and you always got to have like a give and take. You know what I mean? Like there's no.
When you up north, the blizzards.
Exactly. Yeah, them blizzards are crazy, man. That cold I can't do. I'm not built for that. You know what I'm saying?
I think that locks you more in your house than. Let me hear that. I want to touch on Puerto Rico. It's a good segue there.
I'm just saying I was born in Puerto Rico, so me and the cold do not mesh. It's like it's not like I don't like the cold at all.
No, so have you guys ever looked into any of that Puerto Rico stuff going on with the hurricane?
Yep.
I haven't really stayed updated. I'll tell you that. I know a little bit of what's going on, but I haven't been tapping in every day type deal.
Yeah.
Is it still that? How is it?
So from what I understand, it's also like a little bit of politics in play with the power company.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's exactly what is going down there.
There's kind of like a little political play going on with that, and like supposedly there's there's situations going on where like people could have power already. You know what I'm saying? It's like people that don't have it. You know,
a ship with like 50,000 gallons of diesel fuel to power the island, just sitting off the coast until U.S. could sign like a Jones Act to allow that shit. And it's just like, why are you just waiting for that? Like, just help them out. And I just wonder if y'all, I don't look too into it. I see a lot of people post about it. It's just knowledgeable kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, that's definitely unfortunate. And I wasn't aware of it, so I appreciate that. But no, that's very unfortunate.
Think about. Go ahead, let's.
No, I was just gonna say like something that is very fortunate is I know you did, Quincy. I got the Silk Sonic vinyl already. Came in the mail.
Yeah,
I've been bumping that thing. Oh my gosh, man! It was
different.
Well worth the wait.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, you got to get your hands on that, Joe. That one is a slider. It has that old school feel to it in a good way. You know what I mean? Like it don't sound old, but it just has that good feeling to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Nah, like I said, they have their Vegas shows here for like during the summer, and I heard like one of the best shows that was out here. It's dope. But definitely, if they start up another residency, I'm definitely gonna try to swing through. Definitely want to get that vinyl beforehand too. It's just I've been a fan of Bruno Mars from like as soon as he dropped like his first album. I can't remember the name, but like he had a track with like Damian Marley. Like he has some bangers. Like and the boy can sing, you know. And I've always been a fan of him. Anderson .Paak recently started being attracted to him. I think I saw him on the Netflix show with like Cardi B and Chance the Rapper were like judges and T.I.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
He was like one of the was one of the guest coaches, and the way he just played the piano and just like made music like off the spot, like freestyling was amazing.
He's dope.
He's super dope, and he gets a lot of compliments from artists that interact with him and people that have been in the studio with him. You know, I mean, when Dr. Dre, you know, likes to record with you on a regular, you know, you got something. You know what I mean? Like, this dude is super talented, and I feel like with Bruno Mars, I always admired his sound and I always admired his artistry, but I was just not a fan of his sound because it just wasn't the sound that I'm attracted to. You know what I mean? So that's why
you resemble MJ.
In what sense?
Kind of like the melodies and the ranges and the way like just he could hit the high notes, but he could just keep a melody. No, this is early stuff.
Honestly, like he reminded me more of like a new, obviously not the Latin aspect of it, but like he reminded me of like a John Cicada type, but with more hits. You know what I mean?
I feel you.
I didn't really see him like a Michael Jackson. You know, I saw him more like a Prince, if anything. You know what I mean?
I see that.
But what I was saying was, like, once he got with Anderson .Paak and they did the Silk Sonic thing, like, I feel like Anderson .Paak put him in that lane that I love, and I was able to appreciate him at the fullest. You know what I'm saying? Just in that lane with those songs. You know what I mean? They had Bootsy Collins as part of that project too. You know what I mean? So it was just something super dope and a different sound for him. And I feel like he's having a lot of fun with it because they're doing so much with it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's facts. I will say, man, my fiance put me on to Do Wops and Hooligans. That was the first album. I remember like songs that were like popular at the time, but I never dug any deeper than what was on the radio or what was out. And that album was pretty dope, bro. Like, yeah, I feel like anybody, anybody that listened to that album when it first came out, they instantly became a fan for sure.
That, you know, it's crazy. Like, there's albums like that I know the whole albums, and if you start like playing the songs or singing the songs, sing along with, just like that Craig David. Like, I
was just about to bring that up.
You know what I mean? Like, those kind of albums are significant to me. Like, I don't think about them for a long time, but it's like the second Lester named another song, I started singing. I was like, wow, I forgot that song was on there too. Like, those are the kind of albums that like I hold dear to the heart.
Yeah, man, he got this new album called 22 for this year, and it's just crazy because like an album like Craig David Born to Do It, we were talking about it the other day, like it's such a classic and the songs are so dope and the songwriting is amazing, the melodies are amazing, production is amazing, like it's the perfect album to me, you know what I mean? And it's super dope to see people like for me, Bruno Mars finding that space to create his best work, you know what I mean? Because I feel like that's what happens with a lot of artists. Like everything just hits at the right time for them, and it just makes that one special album. And there's not really like if it's your first, second, third. Like I feel like for whatever artist, it's different for each one. It just whenever things line up the best, that's when they make their best music. Because that's something that people don't really understand when it comes to making music. Also, it's like when you're making music, a lot of things got to come together organically for the sound and for the song to be the best that it can be, you know what I mean? Like, and the music is always going to sound the best when everybody involved is enthusiastic about it, you know what I mean? And everybody's not enthusiastic about every song, you know what I mean? And that's something that reflects in the song. You know, like the energy that's being put into it from every angle is going to dictate how dope it's going to be. And when that meets, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's why an album like Nas Illmatic is so special, because you have 5 producers on that album that were at the tip top of their game. And for whatever reason, they was just down to produce this album together and like kind of feed off of each other's energy to make it as dope as possible. Like, that's something that's not going to happen again. You know what I mean? Like, Nas was kind of like in the perfect place at the perfect time, but he was also the perfect artist to do it because he had the talent for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it might not have worked with another artist, you know, because he had the presence and the talent and the creativity to like kind of command the room as well. You know what I mean? And it's like I'm saying, like, there's so many different things that go into play when it comes to making that perfect music, you know, quote unquote perfect music, that people discount it and think that you could just make it happen every time. You know what I mean? Like, that's something that
do you
think
happen. That that's a good point? That's an ongoing debate. Did Nas evolve into a bad beat picker?
I would say I always put it like this. Me as a Nas fan, I wanted to hear certain things from him to put him in a certain space with other artists as I was growing up. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to hear him in another space. But when I look back at it and I listen to the catalog, nothing sounds like it's of a time. You know what I mean? Like, it's all its own sound. So, you know, living it, I felt, you know what I'm saying? Living it, I felt that. But as time has gone on and as I listen to it, it's like everything just sounds like Nas. You know what I mean? It don't sound like, oh, this sounds like 2003. You know what I mean? I can't put a year.
I don't think he's ever changed how he's rapped ever. No matter how much the beats have evolved, he raps. I think like him, like he's like a Pusha T too. You know? They never changed their styles. But they all didn't have classic albums every single time they dropped, in my opinion. Unless
Of
y'all
course.
think that.
Agreed. Yeah.
Nobody does. You know what I'm saying? Like, a saying that I really like as an artist is like, you're just trying to be right once. You know what I mean? Like, me as an artist, I'm just trying to get one song that everybody likes. You know what I mean? Like, that's not gonna happen. Like, it's like one in a million type thing. So that's why you got to keep making music and keep working at it and keep trying to, you know, cultivate your sound, because that's what you're looking for. And once you find out, you're good. You know?
Yeah. And then once you figure it out, what works for you, you can do that consistently.
And then you know what recently sparked something else? You're gonna run into a crowd who don't fuck with your shit at all. Like, remember when Drake did Tyler's festival? It was like that Our Future festival. Not block some, and nobody fucked with
Golf
anything. And then now Jack Harlow performed somewhere. I don't know where it was, and nobody fucked with him. That didn't even react to him being on stage. And for him to be, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna run into a crowd that just doesn't fuck with you, but that's not who you're making your music for.
Yep. And that's something a lot of artists fall into as far as traps go. It's like, you either are and I've been victim to it too, you know what I'm saying? I'm not just saying artists in general, like including myself. Like, you try to cater your music to the environment around you to get the people around you to like it, but that's not who you're trying to make music for, you know what I mean? Unless that's just naturally your sound and what you're going to gravitate to, then it'll work. You know what I'm saying? Because if it's organic, the people around you are going to mess with it because that's what you're going to be about. But if that's not what you're about, you just got to make what you make and then find the people that are going to
fuck with it,
mess with that sound. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to find your fans. It's exactly like you said, Joe. Like, as an artist, you might go to 3 shows and everybody just talks through your performance. You know what I mean? Like, recently, I sent y'all a picture of an artist performing, and like, everybody in the crowd wasn't paying attention. And when I messaged y'all, I was like, yo, I'm not even sending this to try to be funny or to try to clown this artist. Like, I'm just sending it because I know what this feels like when you're performing and people aren't even giving you the chance to listen to what you're talking about. You know what I mean? And it's like that kind of thing. Like, if you let it get to you, you're not going to get to that next level and you're not going to find your fans. You
just
know
stop
what I mean?
right there.
Exactly. And it's just something that you got to keep in mind as an artist and just as a person. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people don't start things because they think that they got to make it perfect out the gate. Like, you can't be scared to show the growth. You know what I mean?
Speaking of growth, how do you, I know you mentioned something earlier this week in a chat about kind of just like how to maneuver through outgrowing friends, you know what I'm saying? And it's not to say you're better than anybody, but just when you guys are no longer kind of on the same tip with anything, like, it's just, don't really have anything in common anymore. You want to tap into that a little bit, kind of just like what you were getting at?
Yeah. And even like there's a statistic that says that the friendships are kind of like they have a lifespan of about 7 years usually. You know what I mean? Like, about 7 years, you outgrow a friend and then you make new friends. And part of that is something that we talked about before, like proximity. You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna make friends with the people around you because of the trust factors / the recognizability. I don't know if that's even a real word, but you know what I mean?
I'll take it.
Like, the fact that you know who they are, you're going to be more inclined to be their friend. And a lot of times, we make friends with people that aren't necessarily our first choice. It's just they're there. You know what I mean? And that even goes back to like something like your mom would always tell you growing up. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be careful who you choose as your friends. You know what I mean? And I feel like that inconvenience of telling somebody they're not the type of person for you sometimes gets in the way of your growth, because people are scared to kind of hurt somebody's feelings or something, or but when you think about stuff long term, you got to realize that this inconvenience right now is going to save us both time in the end. You know what I mean? And we're all both going to be better for it.
Facts. No, I agree with that. I mean, I think and everybody handles that differently. There's some people that can straight up, you know what I'm saying, say like, look, man, you know, I know you're calling me every day, blah, 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 but we're not really talking about nothing right now, you know. And then there's other people that kind of are passive with it, you know what I'm saying. I think you got to do what's best for you at the end of the day, you know. If it's draining you mentally, physically, to kind of carry on with that relationship, then, you know, you kind of got to do what's best for you. And you know, for me, I know that sometimes I can be a little bit cutthroat, I guess you could call it, when it's like my trust factor, and that's something I'm working on personally, you know what I'm saying. But with my trust factor and with my patience with people in general, you know what I'm saying, once I get that first feeling of like, you know, this relationship is kind of dwindling or something's not right here, I don't do anything to try to fix it. I just kind of let it, you know what I'm saying, play out the way it's going to play out. And if it gets too exhausting, you know, make whatever necessary changes, you know.
Yeah, I feel like whenever you're dealing with people that maybe you feel like you've outgrown, or maybe there's not that much there in common, or you know, even relationships that just get old, like that you find yourself talking about the same things. There's not really no updates. Sometimes you feel like you're wasting your time when you're talking to them. It's just something where I feel like you could just set soft boundaries, you know, like if you feel like you've you know, I feel like a lot of times I see with people with their phone, like they feel like because it's on them, or if it's near them, or if, you know, they hear it ringing or whatever, they're obligated to answer it. And it's like, you got to understand that that's not the case. You know what I mean? Like, these people that are draining you, you could just choose to ignore them, and you don't owe them an explanation. You can give them one if you want, you know what I'm saying? You can figure out what that explanation is going to be. You don't got to tell them what you're doing every time, but you got to let them know, hey, I got my own time, and when I'm on my own time, you know, you just respect it, and that's it. And I feel like a lot of people give themselves too much to others sometimes, and you know, when you give too much of yourself, it's like that saying about, you know, about a sinking ship, you know what I mean? Like, you can't, you know, help the other boats rise if your boat has a hole in it.
Right. I know one thing you've said to me years ago, and it always sticks with me, is you know, kind of putting people in a box, you know what I'm saying, where they kind of fit, you know what I'm saying. Like, as things change, I feel like you have your immediate circle, then you got a circle around that and a circle around that, and like, as things change, people maneuver through each circle. Yep. You know, and you got to kind of deal with it as such, you know. And I think that's honestly something that I don't know if I've ever told you this, but excuse me, but that's something that I've always like kind of, you know, reiterated to myself, you know, when we're dealing with people, you know. It's like kind of just like letting people kind of maneuver how they maneuver, and they kind of move wherever it is on my little circles, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I always feel like, for example, like, obviously you guys are here, and like, if I have another friend, I'm gonna have maybe 10% of the trust slash, you know, another word, like confidence, like the trust and confidence I have in y'all, I might have 10% of that in them. You know what I mean? So since I'm expecting that, I'm not gonna you know, get my expectations crushed, because I'm not expecting Joe quality from them. I'm not expecting Quincy quality from them. I'm expecting them quality from them. You know what I mean? So a lot of people do this thing where they want to be across the board with everybody, and that's something that I used to do a lot. That was always that was something that I had to learn the hard way. You know what I mean? Like, I thought that everybody across the board that was in my life was going to operate at a certain code, or at a certain level, or at a certain mind state, or whatever the case is. And you know, I had to realize that's not the case. You know what I mean? People are in different mind states. They're in different modes. They're trying to get it different ways. And like I said, you got to expect what you know you can expect from different people, so that you're operating the best that you can with the people around you and the people that you're choosing to be in your life.
Big time.
What's your thoughts on that, Joe?
Oh man, it's funny. Like, I almost thought I wasn't gonna have anything to talk about here, but then you guys touched on something that I did a year into moving to Vegas, which is earlier in this year, where I said I deactivated every single social media platform that I had for 6 months, and I said, whoever fucks with me, it's not gonna make a difference. And whoever doesn't, I'll see them in 6 months. And that changed everything. And that's the way I looked at it. If we kept up with each other and nothing changed without me having social media and without you being easily access to like my posts, it's like how real is this friendship? Like how much do we actually care about keeping current? And with y'all, like that's where me and Lester always honestly started texting more, because he realized it. I think like 13 days in, he was like, yo, you're not anywhere on social media. I let him know. He's like, oh, okay, bet. Boom. So he started sending me everything direct, built the conversations, and that grew into getting you in there. And when I came back, it was just like already all gravy. And that's why I had already added you before I even knew you, because I knew you made music with him. And then when I came back, I added me back because we formed that friendship. And that's how I take it. Like, if I don't give you easy access to me, how much are you going to care to want to contact me? And that's how, honestly, was probably one of the biggest like revelations to who I really gave energy to after in my life. You know, continue being like loyal to and being there for and doing things with, based off that. Because living out here is not easy access. You know, when I lived in Orlando, I was always outside. Anybody could just meet me up, and it's not like that no more. You know what I mean? So a lot of those things that I thought I considered friendships was really just acquaintances that would always just meet me up whenever we were outside. So that's how I kind of processed that, and that's the only way I had to moving out here to Vegas. You know, so
it's funny you made the point of you moving to Vegas, because as both of y'all know, I moved to Atlanta 5 years ago, and I went through that process 5 years ago, and I moved to Atlanta back in February again after finishing school, and I'm going through that process again. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely something that just kind of comes with the territory.
So it starts over then for sure, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely comes with the territory.
Yeah, and that's one thing I'm trying to do out here. Like, I've been out here enough, and you gotta branch out. You gotta start just being like bringing yourself into like the city life, and not like the downtown city life, but just like embracing the city that you live in. I feel, and that makes you feel more comfortable there.
Exactly, like taking in the parks, taking in whatever scenery they have, the local shops, the things that most of the locals enjoy as far as like top rated places. It's something that's super dope about every time I travel. Like, and whenever me and Quincy went to Denver, we did the same thing, try to look up what was like the dope little local spots to eat or whatever, what was the dopest parks to go to as far as national parks or state parks. And we
there's like a mega pass that lets you in like 50 states parks around the whole United States.
Yo, but it's crazy because everything that we did, we didn't have to pay for none of it. It was all just public parks, you know what I mean? Like state parks that don't cost anything. And we really went out there, and the only money we spent on was at the dispensaries and eating, you know what I mean? Because we didn't do anything that required money, you know what I'm saying? Like we didn't go like anywhere that we had to buy a ticket or anything like that. It was just, we'll go here, to hit these mountains, or we'll hit this trail or do whatever, and we just vibe that way. And it was super dope.
That's a good energy, that nature energy, and just like being outside and like seeing that's what my wife loves. That's what she's everything we've done that's Mother Nature related is because of her. I'm not grateful for that, but it's just like it's a different energy out there. Like it's something I feel everybody needs to experience at some point.
Yeah, that's something me and Quincy tapped into a lot in the beginning episodes. And I'm gonna pass it off to him to describe it a little too. But like, when we were out there in Denver and just different places that we've been, because I've been blessed to be able to go to different places. I went to Mexico with my family, was snorkeling in Mexico with the kids and my wife, you know what I mean? We went and held a big iguana and took a couple pictures, you know what I mean?
That's right.
Like, I've been blessed to do a whole bunch of dope stuff, and every time you take in any of these like natural landmarks and these places where it's just things to do outdoors, it always gives you a certain type of energy and perspective.
Not man-made
vibe.
shit.
Exactly. And go ahead, Quincy, because I know that you definitely have something to say about this for sure.
Yeah, man. You literally, as you were saying, you said exactly what I was about to say. As far as, you know, we tapped into these topics in the early episodes, man, and I kind of really went into you know, into describing how like those experiences kind of made us feel, like especially in Denver, being like a mile high in a mountain looking over, you know what I'm saying? It's like, bro, those experiences, man, once you go through them, it really opens your eyes and makes you see the world in a different light. And you know, I'm like Lester said, I'm blessed to have been able to get outside of, you know, my local area and do certain things. Because some people, you know, they see their same block, you know what I mean, for 40, 50, 60 years, you know, and that's all they know. So, you know, if you have that opportunity, man, take it, because it really will change the way you see things and the way you perceive life. Because, like, you know, being on the phone all day, being at a computer all day, and all these man-made, like as you mentioned, things, you know, that's not, you know, 100 years ago, bro, that's not what people were doing. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah, sure.
and people always talk about how we're losing touch, we're losing, you know what I'm saying, our human nature. But that's why, because we're spend more of our time not being one with human nature, you know. So you definitely got to tap into that, man, because it's something, bro. It's definitely something.
Yeah, and I think there's definitely something in there about like you're saying, human nature, because like we're kind of getting away with that as we get intertwined so much with the technology. You know what I mean? Like we're kind of losing some of that human nature, and being involved with nature kind of helps you tap into that too. Because like you know, something dope about it is always just the perspective it gives you, like when you're out there in a natural place where you just realize like it kind of in a dope way, it kind of lets you know how small you are. You know what I mean? Like you kind of take it in and you see what's going on and you see the ecosystem that you're in and you're like, wow, like I really don't matter. But it's in a super dope way, you know? Yeah, exactly.
Humbling way.
In a humbling way where it makes you feel good, you know what I mean? It's not something that you're like down about it. It's just like gives you the perspective of like, wow, like it's just so dope to be a part of this thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And like I've seen this quote, and I always used to disregard it, but it's like, because you can't disregard it too much. But it said, "Don't take life too seriously. It's not permanent." You know, like nothing. And that shit hit me a lot older in life. Like nothing's permanent. Like you're not here forever, and it's crazy. It's like you spend your whole life worrying about something or caring about something that doesn't matter. And that's why I feel being out there, be like, yo, like you gotta. I think it's wow. I'm about to roll it back. I think it's being grounded. I think that's what it is. You get grounded out there in kind of those situations,
bro. And a beautiful song for what we're talking about is a John Mayer song called "Stop This Train." And it's just kind of like talking about life. And man, like if you haven't heard that song, check it out. It's
I don't think I have. I'm definitely gonna be.
Yeah, man. It's from his album. I think it's called Continuum. It was from 07, I believe. And it's the one with Daughters on it. You ever heard that song, Daughters, from him?
Never listened to much John Mayer though.
John Mayer's dope, man. Definitely.
No, I knew. I listened to him when he played guitar for Jay-Z on when he performed. Oh
yeah.
Yeah.
No, John Mayer's dope, man. He's a super dope songwriter. He's super dope how he arranges his music. How he's able to keep it simple but make it so deep and full. You know what I mean?
I never ate on him. I knew I know he's always been a great artist. I just never tapped into him. I definitely will now. What's the song called again?
Stop This Train. John Mayer. I mean, the lyrics. I mean, I'm telling you, you're gonna listen to the song and you're gonna be like, wow, like it's gonna be an experience. You listening to the song.
All right, let's add it to the library. Let's go.
Yep. But yeah, man. I think that even ties in a lot with the theme of the hurricane, just because like a hurricane, everybody kind of knows in their head what a hurricane looks like. And depending on where you're at, where that hurricane is going to depend on how much it's going to affect you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's something that has to do with perspective and nuance that people have to kind of tap into when it comes to just their everyday life. You know what I mean? Not just a hurricane situation, but just every day.
Are you going to be the person who's so confident you're going to act like you're not worried?
Exactly. Like you always have to, like you said, you got to keep it grounded. You can't go too much in one way. Like something that always holds true no matter what is that, everything in moderation.
Yeah.
It can't be too much one way, too much the other way. You got to be balanced. You got to balance your life.
Right now, I got two friends within 2-mile radius of each other. One got beer, the other one got sandbags and boarded up their windows. That's both extremes right there.
Yep.
Within 2 miles of each other, Dean Road area.
Yep.
And
it just goes to tell you, like, it just goes to show you, like, the perspectives, if they get too extreme, like you yourself, you have to be in the middle with everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just be too much one way, too much the other way. And I'm not even saying like that you have to be moderate about everything. You just got to know, if I'm going to go extreme here, I got to go reserved in this other area. You know what I mean? And that goes back to the nuance, and that's where you gotta do the trial and error and just listen to what life tells you. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like a lot of people don't do that. They don't really realize, like, okay, when I make this type of decision, this happens. When I make that type of decision, that happens. And you got to figure out what works best for you and your lifestyle and the type of person you are, and pay attention to that kind of stuff, because the answers are right there. And it just goes back to the thing that an old saying people always say, but it makes so much sense, that common sense isn't common. Like, a lot of things happen that you might look at and be like, what? Like, you don't even understand how a person could do that and make that mistake. But the same sensibilities that you have, they're not the same across the board. You know what I mean? And it goes back to something I always say too, is like, bro, back in the day, half the country thought it was cool to have slaves. The other half didn't think it was cool to have slaves. I mean, that's a 50-50 split.
Yeah.
50-50 split, dog. Like, I feel like people haven't changed that much since then. Like, laws have changed and situations
we saw
have changed.
that fucking ring video, that dude who slipped up. That hasn't changed.
Yep. And it's just
it's caught more on camera now.
It's just a crazy thing that I always say too, is like, a lot of those people that were involved in a lot of these heinous acts, they're still alive, elderly. Their kids are still alive. Their kids still remember seeing that. Their kids still remember hearing that from their parents and stuff. You know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like it's something that's just gonna take a lot of generations to get away from, because eventually it's gonna get to a point where, like, the overarching theme of racism is going to fade, and people are just so so mixed up nowadays that it's just I feel like it's gonna get to a point where it's gonna be a moot point. You know what I mean?
For real?
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be in our lifetime, and I don't think it's gonna be anytime soon. But I think it's gonna get there. You know what I mean?
I got you. Not in our lifetime. That's for
sure. Not in our lifetime for sure. Because
like
I said.
Remember when Blackout Tuesday happened? Everybody put like a black picture on their Instagram.
Yeah.
I felt like that was the biggest social media push ever, and that's a lot of people's last posts. Like I like a lot of accounts that I know now, that was like maybe the second or third and last post. And I felt, and something I think I kind of touched out last weekend, was that people got tired of social media because the expectations people felt when you had to react to something. And that's the same way I feel now to racism. Like, anytime there's any kind of thing with the Brittany Griner thing, and you know what, that kind of died out, and that sucks.
Yeah, like I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know where that's at. You know what I mean? And like,
she got 9 years.
She got sentenced?
Yeah, she got 9 years in Russia. She said 9 years. They're trying to do the prisoner swap, but it ain't happening. So until then, she got 9 years in Russia for some vape pods.
Yep, and that goes back to the hurricane thing. Depending on where you're at in the storm, is going to affect you a different way. You know, over here, them vape pods, you're going to get a slap on the wrist. Over there, it's different. You know what I mean? You got to know where you're at and understand the perspective of where you're at and what's going on.
Big time. But I think, like I said, outside looking in, hurricane reactions this time around was a lot different for me, because not having to be worried or influenced by any of it, but it changes the concern from my people. So I'm checking in with my family every like 2 hours, and they're like, it's just raining, be relaxed. I'm like, I know, but I'm seeing all this crazy shit on the gram. And so me too, I'm like, you're not even being part of it. I'm being worried about it. Like, we asking Lester, what's good? Lester's like, it's just raining. Oh, let me check, it's just raining. You know, so it affects you whether you're in it or not, I think. And I think just how confident people sound or how bad it's gonna be makes you worry. And saw the nuance about it. That's how, you know, how they say it, how they project it, it influences people to think a certain way about it. It's crazy. I'll be part of that. I need to digress.
Yeah, man, definitely. And I feel like it kind of just goes back to something we always talk about of, like, you know, creating your own reality. Like, you know, have a grounded approach to it, and, you know, make sure that you're going to be safe by making the right decisions for the situation that you're in. You know what I mean? It's not going to be one size fits all. And like I said, you just got to listen to what, you know, what life is telling you. You know, that's something that, like I said, I feel like happens a lot with people, where the instinct kicks in and they're just so used to rejecting it. You know, like, I have people that, you know, tell me about things that's going on, and I'm like, but you know that this thing has been a problem and you've just been letting it linger, and now that it's, you know, now that the seed that you planted is it's time to harvest, like, now you're trying to find a way out. Like, nah, man, you led this all the way here. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like people like to act like things sneak up on them when they know that they've been letting it slide for X amount of time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had a great quote that resembles that, but maybe we'll post it on the gram when I remember. But I gotta remember that one. Describes exactly what you're just talking about.
Yeah, man. But Joe, let them know what you got going on coming up. Pretty exciting for you, and just what kind of time we're going to be on in the next couple of weeks, and just your final thoughts with this, what's been going on, the hurricane, you know, the past couple of episodes.
Yeah, no, this is our last recording for a couple of weeks. I'll be in Mexico with the fam next week in Puerto Vallarta. Much needed vacation. Junior's gonna be out there. Wifey, her parents. Much needed, man. Much needed, just catching up time. I take that as a huge disconnect. Phone's gonna be away. I got the GoPro for the reason, you know, I don't need my phone out for nothing. Huge disconnect, huge reset, huge intimate moments, huge deep conversations. You know, we gotta find outside there. That's the kind of approach I take to these kind of trips. I take advantage of these intimate moments with people that we don't know. We know sure how many moments we got left. So I highly appreciate this. I think we got enough content. We've been putting episodes out. We're consistent. Like we're consistent as hurricanes in Florida. Like yeah, you know what I mean. We're coming. We're generating. Sometimes it's gonna be a tropical storm. Sometimes it's gonna be a Jari Cat 5 episode. You know what I'm saying? Like, we come in. We appreciate everybody who keeps tapping in. I see more and more of my people who I know personally following the IG account, following the Facebook pages, leaving comments, leaving love. That's what we want: organic growth. Something that we don't have to try hard for. Something that we're just our promo just reminding you that we have podcast episodes, you know, and everybody who they remember hopefully y'all spend some hurricane time listening to our stuff, because we see y'all in a couple weeks after this. And on behalf of me, y'all stay grounded.
Yeah, man, and make sure y'all subscribe and leave a 5-star review. If you subscribe, the episodes automatically load into your podcast player every time we drop them, so you're always tapped in. Leave the 5-star review just to give us better positioning so other people can find the podcast. We got a lot of dope merch coming on the way. We all have a lot of the new merch that we've been kind of testing and things that people have been liking. And we might even just be giving away some stuff to people. Yep, look, we got stickers.
Some grounded cups.
We're gonna do some
grounded
cup
tumblers.
Yes, we're gonna do some cups. Let me know if y'all want them cups. And we're definitely gonna be giving away some stuff to people that leave the reviews and make sure that you're letting other people know that we're out here. Quincy, you got anything else to leave them with?
Hey man, we all doing different things. We all got projects in the works. So, even with the podcast, outside the podcast, lock in with us individually. At I am Quincy Jamal, at Lester.wave, right, Lester?
Yep.
Lester.wave, and at Joe Fernese. Lock in with us, man. We got things in the works, and with that said, man, stay grounded.